Hello, everyone. I'm Nancy Carrier. Today's webinar topic is project budget forecasts. Project budget forecasts let you plan and track a project budget by financial periods. You can create an unlimited number of forecasts per project. You might have, for example, an upside forecast and a downside forecast. Each forecast has a revision number for easy tracking. The Excel import and export functionality that you're used to seeing throughout Acumatica can also be used with forecasts. Once you've created a forecast, you can easily update your project budget based on those forecasted numbers. There's a couple of configuration steps required to use project budget forecasts, and I'll be covering those shortly. For today's example, I'm going to be using the ACE Demo snapshot. For those not familiar with the demo data available, we have two different snapshots on the portal. Sales Demo has over 6 years of transactions. It gets updated every month, so you have current financial data for reports. Always a good idea to download the current month snapshot from the portal. ACE Demo is the Sales Demo snapshot with construction-specific data and projects added to it. ACE Demo is also available from the partner portal. I'll be using ACE Demo today. ACE Demo is already configured for project budget forecasts, but I'll take you through the configuration steps so you're aware of them. Let's take a look at those configuration steps. Project budget forecast is a feature, so you do need to enable the feature. From the system management workspace, under the heading of licensing, just select Enable Disable Features. Scroll down to the Projects section and look for Budget Forecast. This box must be checked. If you have projects that were created before you turned on the Budget Forecast feature, you need to validate project balances. From the Construction workspace or from the Projects workspace, if you're not in the Construction edition, in the Processes section, you would just click on Validate Project Balances. From the Validate Project Balances page, just click on Validate All. As you can see, the configuration required for project budget forecasts is quite minimal. You simply enable the feature and then run Validate Project Balances. Let's jump into Acumatica and take a look at this feature. I'm going to open up a project to use as an example. And let's go over to the Tasks tab. I'm going to drill into the first task. At the very top of the Task Properties section, you need to enter a planned start and planned end date that you want to use in your forecast. Tasks need to be in the status of in planning when you're entering those dates. Once a task has been activated, you would need to change the status in order to come back and change these dates. You can use the arrow keys at the top to navigate through your tasks and enter the dates. You want to have a planned start and a planned end date for each task. Just as a side note, currently with version 2019 R1, you need to drill into each task and enter those dates. In the next release, which is 2019 R2, the planned start and end dates will have columns right over here, so you won't have to drill down to the task to enter this information. For demo purposes, I suggest you enter planned start and end dates before your demo. Also, activate your tasks and take your budget off, or take your project off hold so it's in a status of active. To create a forecast for this project right here from the project page, you just come up to Inquiries and select Project Budget Forecast. Because you can create an unlimited number of forecasts for a project, the revision field is required. When you tab out of the revision field, oops, When you tab out of that revision field, it pulls in all of your budget line information as well as your planned start and planned end dates. I'm going to give my forecast a description, and I'll just call it Rev 01 again and save it. Up at the top, you'll notice in the header section, there's a bunch of different filters that can be used to narrow down the lines displayed. For example, I could use this type field if I only wanted to display, for example, my revenue lines from my budget. Forecasts let you plan and track your budget by month. So to break down the budget, all you need to do is come up to the top and click on Generate Periods. Now each budget line has individual financial periods based on the range specified in the planned start and planned end dates. As I scroll through the forecast, you can see each budget line now displays the generated periods. If any of these automatically generated periods aren't necessary, you can just highlight the line and click the X to delete that row. You can also use the Add Periods button to create additional financial periods. You'll notice these rows for Delta, and you'll notice that we have some budget information in red. This is telling me that the total budget amount does not equal the total of the individual months. And that's because we haven't spread the budgeted amount across our individual months. To do that, all we need to do is click on Distribute. Pop-up box displays options. So you can select what you want to distribute, which columns, and notice at the bottom, I can distribute amounts for all my budget lines or only for the currently selected line. I'm going to go ahead and distribute all my budget lines. Now, as I scroll through here, you can see everything has been distributed. We don't have any more red in our deltas. The delta line is gone. All the red has been cleared out because this total matches the total of our individual financial periods. If it's necessary to change amounts in any of these periods, you can always just manually click right into any number and make the changes, both before and after distributing. So let's take a look at what happens as actual costs start coming in. We all know things don't always go as planned, right? So what happens if I have costs coming in and they're outside of this particular generated range of periods that we created? Let's take a look. I've already entered a bill to use in this example, and I have it on a separate tab. So I can very quickly access it during a demo. You can see that my bill is dated in a month outside of the periods on the forecast. It's been correctly coded to my example project and to the budget line I'm using as my example. All I need to do is just click on Release. I suggest you do the same for your demos. Just have a bill entered and approved. Just have it sitting there in a status of balanced. It'll just save you a lot of clicks and it'll shorten data entry time. So let's go back to our forecast and see how that bill affected it. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my forecast. So now when I scroll down to the bottom, you can see the delta line has returned. And now there are amounts in red in the actual column. When the actual column displays in red, it means that transactions have been entered outside of the periods on the forecast. To resolve this, all I need to do is click on Update Forecast Lines. Down here, you can see a new period for August has automatically been inserted. The delta line is gone and nothing displays in red. And I am losing my voice. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. All right, the last scenario that I want to share with you is how to update the project budget based on changes you've made to this forecast. So let's say you completely forgot about this $1,500 that was spent early on, and you want to revise the project budget. I'm going to leave my original budgeted amount alone, but I'm going to enter the $1,500 in the revised budget amount for August. My original budgeted amount stays the same at $1,980, but the revised budgeted amount has changed from $1,980 to $3,480. To add this change to the cost budget tab on my project, I just click on Update Project Budget. Now let's go back to our project and see how that affected our cost budget. So I'm just going back on my project. I'm on my cost budget tab, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, which is the line I was using as an example. And you can see my original budgeted amount stayed the same, but now my revised budgeted amount has been changed from $1,980 to $3,480. Data from project budget forecasts can be used in reports and pivot tables so that you can review and analyze your data. We do have a generic inquiry that you can use. It lets you build any required reports based on that forecast data. So this is my generic inquiry. You can see I've created this pivot table. Like any other pivot table, it lets you slice and dice the data. You could do things like compare your forecast revisions, as well as perform many other types of analysis. So today I have covered project budget forecasts as well as the configuration of forecasts. If you have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A, and I would be glad to take your questions at this time. Right now we don't have any open questions, but I'm going to stay on the line for just a couple of minutes. If you have anything, please go ahead and enter your questions. Quiet group today. Must be because of the upcoming holiday. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close out this webinar. If you do have any additional questions, please enter a pre-sales case.